In the 18th century, there was a mine called Devil's Island. One day, a miner accidentally broke through an entrance to hell. At first he thought it was just an ordinary mine shaft, but turning back, he noticed the bird in the cage had died. Soon they called in a penitent to handle this. Penitents were high-risk workers who cleared gas. They would use sticks with candles, risking their lives to ignite leaked gas. However, when the penitent saw the pillars inside the cave, he realized this wasn't a naturally formed cave. Sensing danger, he threw the stick and ran. This ignited the surrounding gas. Time jumped to 1956. An archaeologist arrived here. His purpose was to find secrets hidden beneath this land. Since the professor had considerable influence, the mine supervisor didn't dare neglect him. The professor stated his purpose. He wanted to go 1,000 meters underground. As for what he wanted to do there, the supervisor didn't dare ask, just said 3 weeks. But after the professor showed his wealth, the supervisor immediately saying 1 week was enough. For this, the supervisor found Roland to lead the professor. Roland was an experienced miner. He'd worked at this mine nearly 10 years now. Under his leadership, his men including himself never had accidents. A week quickly passed. The professor arrived as scheduled. Besides 4 veterans in Roland's team, the supervisor added a new helper. 3 of them rejected this newcomer Amir. After all, no one wants to split money with another person. So the 7 went down into the mine. Through instrument detection, the professor quickly found a suitable spot. After blasting, an opening appeared below. Roland arranged for Pierre to reinforce the opening and build a bridge for convenient transport when mining later. But when they went down, they were amazed to find this was a man-made tunnel. They couldn't believe such a place existed 1,000 meters underground. Roland recalled the legend from 100 years ago. A nearby mine shaft had a massive explosion. Dozens of miners were buried underground. But when searching for buried miners, not a single corpse was found. Some said they awakened an ancient god inside, so it took them away. Before he finished speaking, Roland realized the professor was gone. After all, this guy had considerable status. They had to find him and keep him safe. The 5 came to a fork. Roland decided to split into 2 teams. The entire tunnel was terrifyingly quiet. Amir, Louis, and Gueules reached the tunnel's end. Inside they found skeletal remains. From his clothes, clearly a trapped miner from back then. In the corpse's hand they found a strange object. Though unclear what it was, they could tell it was valuable. Amir noticed the skeleton's fingers were pulverized. Guessing this person encountered something terrible before death, he looked up around, found writing on the wall. The content made Amir shudder. It hides in darkness, watching everyone. Even in sleep, its voice can still be heard. The 2 immediately thought of the awakened ancient god, just as they were still immersed in terror. Without finding the professor, the 3 could only head to another tunnel. They met Roland's 2 at a corner. The missing professor was nearby photographing the wall. The professor told Roland what he sought was behind the wall. Just blast this wall, get samples, and they could retreat. But Roland made the professor reveal his true purpose. Unable to hide it, the professor said he came to find ancient artifacts, claiming finding them would advance historical research. These words gained Roland's trust. After blasting the stone wall, the professor couldn't wait to enter. Photographed text on every pillar. After collecting samples, he found an open stone door on the other side. They saw skeletons covering the ground. The professor guessed this was a war between guardians and invaders. While speaking, Amir saw something placed in the center. The professor was shocked seeing the sarcophagus. He never thought he'd actually find it in his lifetime.
Tout simplement historique.
The professor had Roland send people for tools to move the sarcophagus. He wanted to stay and study the wall paintings longer. When the group reached the exit, Pierre had long completed Roland's assigned task. Just as they prepared to go back for the sarcophagus, the horse got startled and ran into the darkness. Next second, rocks overhead cracked. The entire opening was sealed by collapsed stones. This collapse left Santini's legs crushed. Gueules, looking at the blocked opening, was helpless. Roland believed with such loud noise, people above would surely come rescue them. But Pierre's words made everyone despair instantly, because after they came down, the others also left the mine. Roland immediately guessed the professor made the supervisor do this. His purpose was to keep others from knowing this secret. Though they could wait for rescue, with someone injured they couldn't delay. They could only try finding another exit. They still had 2 sticks of dynamite. With the right spot, maybe they could blast an escape route. Roland had them look around for other exits. Louis seemed to be waiting for this moment, bringing Pierre to the sarcophagus. When Amir arrived, he found them prying open the sarcophagus. But even with all their strength, they couldn't open it. Amir wanted to persuade them but was threatened by Louis. He also made Amir help, but even with 3 people's full strength, they couldn't move it at all. Amir looked at the groove on the sarcophagus, recalling the object found earlier. He placed it and twisted. The sarcophagus indeed made noise. This time they didn't need much effort to open the sarcophagus. Looking at the gems inside, Louis and Pierre couldn't hide their excitement. Amir didn't want to conspire with them and planned to leave, but was caught by Louis and beaten severely, warning him not to tell about this. Just then, the ancient god in the sarcophagus was slowly awakening. Outside, people heard screaming. Looking at their panicked state, Santini beside him pointed in terror behind Pierre. When they followed the blood trail, Pierre was already disemboweled and dismembered. Roland questioned what the professor was really searching for, and how much he knew about that thing. It turned out this land once housed an unknown civilization. The ancient god they worshipped had eternal life, but for some reason, they suddenly vanished from history. The professor came here to find clues about the ancient god, to research the secret of immortality. Amir beside him believed those people didn't worship the ancient god as faith. This place was more like a prison for the ancient god. Roland believed whatever it was. The key now was finding a way out. According to the professor's drawn map, Amir analyzed they just needed to retrace their steps to avoid the ancient god, and safely return to the opening. Louis suddenly remembered injured Santini was still there. Santini heard footsteps from the darkness. Unable to get his mining lamp, he pulled out his camera, trying to use the flash to see who was coming. When everyone arrived, they found him held by the ancient god. They witnessed the ancient god easily tear open Santini's belly. 2 deaths in a row completely panicked them. This intense fear made the remaining people show desperate expressions. They still had 2 sticks of dynamite, meaning they had only 2 choices: use dynamite to kill the ancient god or blast an escape route. But the professor mentioned a third option: return to the pillar location again. Decoding the text might reveal the exit. Amir also thought this method was feasible. After all, so many people fought here before. He guessed this place must have an entrance. Soon they returned to the pillar cave. The professor, comparing notes, found some clues. Amir also accidentally discovered the pillar text could be translated using Arabic consonants. With Amir's help, the professor found more key information. The group searched among the maze-like pillars, finally found another tunnel in the corner. Beside the tunnel were cages, looking like a place to hold prisoners. From the wall text they learned, locals called the ancient god Moknoros, translated meaning soul devourer. Realizing they couldn't stay long, they continued forward, but after walking for a while, they found themselves back at the sarcophagus entrance. The professor thought of text on the stone walls inside, so he had Amir go in together to help. Upon entering, they saw the dead white horse in the corner. The professor suddenly thought of something. He took advantage when no one was paying attention to close the stone door.
Vous avez fait, professeur, vous êtes devenu fou!
Je sais exactement ce que je fais. Aide-moi plutôt à trouver la solution à notre problème. Je suis sûr que la réponse est ici, sur ces murs.
Several tried to pry open the stone door, but couldn't budge it. The professor analyzed there were 9 hidden passages total. Only one could leave here. Just as Amir stood to search for the exit, he suddenly noticed the dead horse's belly moved. Next second, the ancient god crawled out from the horse's belly. The professor, like he'd been waiting, approached the ancient god, then hugged it, full of excitement, speaking words Amir couldn't understand. He seemed to be communicating with the ancient god, but the ancient god didn't respond to him. The embracing arms instead squeezed harder, until it crushed the professor to death. Outside, they finally pried open the stone door. Amir just escaped. While closing, Amir grabbed the professor's notebook. Devastated Amir felt everyone's deaths were his fault. If not for seeking recognition, he wouldn't have opened the sarcophagus. However, Louis beside him still spoke sarcastically. Now Amir didn't care about saving face. He revealed everything Louis and Pierre did. Roland knew now wasn't the time to argue right and wrong. Since the professor was dead, they could only rely on Amir to escape. Amir followed the notebook's guidance to another tunnel, but soon they found a dead end ahead. At the same time, the sound of opening stone door came from behind. Everyone immediately shut off their lights. Trying to hide in darkness, only when quiet returned did Louis dare turn on his mining lamp. But turning around, he saw the ancient god right in front. Giggs rushed up to kill the ancient god but was slain by one claw. Then Louis was also dragged into darkness. Roland and Amir used this gap to escape elsewhere. Following the notebook's guidance, they again entered a dead end. Amir, unwilling to give up, flipped through the notebook. Then he noticed a key point. Arabic is read right to left, but the professor got it backwards, meaning they just needed to return to the pillars and go in reverse. Maybe they could find the hidden exit. But just as they packed up to leave, a claw reached out from a stone crack, then pulled Amir into darkness. When Amir woke, he saw the ancient god sitting on its throne, holding half-dead Louis in its hand. The ancient god forcibly tore off Louis's head, then inserted fingers into the head and spoke human language, walking toward Amir.
Qu'est-ce que t'attends de moi?
The ancient god had taken a liking to Amir's young, strong body. It wanted to use his body to return to the surface. If Amir agreed to let it possess him, then it would make Amir a deity. Amir pretended to agree to the request.
jamais d'ici.
Pain forced the ancient god to release its grip. Amir seized the chance and rushed toward the exit. Here he happened to meet Roland, who arrived first. With Roland's help, he climbed up the opening. Hearing the ancient god's voice getting closer, they quickly set up dynamite and climbed upward. But after connecting the wire, they found the handle stuck in a stone crack below. Seeing this, Amir chose to sacrifice himself. He urged Roland to leave quickly. After getting the handle, he immediately twisted it. But he was too nervous. Several attempts failed to detonate. Then Roland came to his side. Just as the ancient god was about to reach them, they pressed the switch together.
De la part des Gueules noires, hein?
Ultimately, the two sacrificed themselves to prevent the ancient god from reaching the surface. Though they blocked the exit, combined with the massive explosion at the beginning, the ancient god probably wouldn't die so easily. Thus ends the film.